My boyfriend, 30, has a son, young grammar school age. He was a toddler when we started our relationship. His mother didn't want me to be involved in the care of their child, and she and I have never really seen eye to eye. In the beginning, it went really well, and his son was here every other week. But the older he got, the less time he was with his mom, and he's with us 100% now, since his mom was arrested a year ago. In the beginning, we divided the chores and childcare equally. 4 months ago, my boyfriend got an opportunity to work on 3 projects, which could lead him to a big promotion. He's always working late, either from home or in the office. I've been doing all the chores and childcare since then. I cook, clean, get his son ready in the morning, and drop him off at daycare. The only thing my boyfriend has to do is get his son ready for bed. I told him last Friday that from Monday on, I won't be doing the childcare anymore. He got angry. He said that we're a family and we need to support each other. He told me he needed me right now and that I just needed to be patient. I replied that this was his son and he needed to do most of the childcare. I've been doing all of it, and it's not fair since he's the father. He then went into the other room, got his son and told him, "Mommy says she doesn't want to take care of you anymore," while pointing at me. I said to not call me that because I'm not his mother. And his son started crying. I, of course, comforted and apologized to his son because it wasn't my intention to upset him. My boyfriend is still mad and has been taking care of his son, but he won't speak to me. I didn't think this was unreasonable. He's the parent and needs to do more of the child care. And also, his mom doesn't even want me to be involved in childcare, so I'm already overstepping her wishes. My sister's on his side and says I'm at fault since he and I are a family now and he needs my support right now, and that the mother's wishes don't matter at all right now. Like, I don't think this was at all unreasonable, but I'm not sure if I was unreasonable here. Am I the idiot? Edit. I work, but I had to lower the number of hours to 20 to 28 hours per week. Mommy says she doesn't want to care for you anymore? Wow. He immediately went to emotional manipulation. Wow. How cruel can you be to take your anger at your partner out on a child? Whoa. He actually did that to his son? You need to break up with this man yesterday. Seriously, OP. He weaponized his child against you. How can you stand there and take it? He's using you as free daycare and emotionally manipulating you and his son to force you to stay in a bad environment. He'll probably try and walk it back and say he was stressed from all that work. He'll do better. Don't forget at the moment, he chose to weaponize a child against you. He's selfish enough to potentially traumatize his son to force you to work for him. That's how little regard he has for either of you, beyond your use as free labor, when he's unhappy. And it's the kind of behavior you can expect if he's ever upset or stressed again. Woman, wake up. Bio mom doesn't get an opinion. She's in jail. I wouldn't involve myself in this headache. 2 years and you've not adopted the kid in your heart? Leave. You know you want to, but now you have this idiot manipulation for a reason. Everyone's the idiot here. The more you lie to yourself, the more this situation will suck. Your boyfriend's trying to trap you with guilt. My brother and sister-in-law have 2 daughters, younger teen Bria, that's his, and teen Leah, that's hers. The problem is my sister-in-law. Every time someone compliments Bria, we must also compliment Leah, otherwise she'll get mad. For example, suppose I tell Bria that she's very talented in something. In that case, sister-in-law will interrupt me and say, "But isn't Leah also very talented?" It's annoying. I can't say a single word to my niece until I say it to Leah too. A few days ago, we were at their house and the girls were getting ready to go to a party. Bria was looking absolutely gorgeous, so I told her, "Oh my God, Bria, you look gorgeous." Sister-in-law interrupted me again and said, "But isn't Leah very gorgeous?" I finally snapped and said, "No, she's not." She looked at me shocked and said, "What the heck is wrong with you to say that?" I told her I didn't want to say that, but I answered truthfully since she wanted to know. If she thinks her daughter's gorgeous, then she should tell her, but she can't expect people to compliment her. Now she thinks I'm an idiot. Am I? You are the idiot. Assuming that Leah heard what you said. She's a teen girl. That could seriously hurt her self-esteem. It's a crappy way to get back at your sister-in-law by making Leah hurt. It is also true that yes, you shouldn't have to compliment Leah every time you compliment Bria, but she's a teenager, and teens that age are sensitive and always looking for validity in who they are and how they look. In the end, though, I'd expect an adult to handle that situation better without hurting a teen's fragile self-esteem. You said it yourself. The problem is my sister-in-law. So why did you make it Leah's problem and force her to be the casualty in your problem with sister-in-law? Is it just me, or does OP give the impression that she only ever compliments Bria? She only refers to Bria as her niece, while Leah is just sister-in-law's daughter. Given her obliviousness and cruelty, I think maybe sister-in-law has had enough, prompting her to be nicer to her other daughter for a good reason. OP, you were cruel. You should have said, of course both girls are beautiful, but it's not a competition, and I don't have to compliment everyone each time. It's ridiculous. Agree. It sounds like Leah's been around since she was 2 years old. If OP still can't see her as family, then something is majorly wrong. If my family treated my stepdaughter like that, I would be livid with them. I've been there more than her actual father for most of her life, and to me, she's my daughter. I know that a blood bond still changes the dynamic, but there is infinite room for love in a kid's heart, and it shouldn't be the adults limiting it. I feel bad for the other niece, because she's his niece, not their brother's stepdaughter. My son has been referring to us by our first names, or otherwise sarcastically as sir or ma'am, since he was a teenager, and it's something I've always despised. I had hoped he would outgrow this phase, but unfortunately, it's been his habit for over 2 decades now. My husband and I are present on a cross-country trip and have stopped for a few days to visit our son and his partner. While we were present, they were discussing plans they have with his partner's family, who live in the area. My son asked his partner to let mom and dad know we'll be over by 3 p.m. on Monday, in reference to his partner's parents. At first, I was in a moment of shock before the wave of emotions overtook me, and I started to cry. No one offered to comfort me for a while before my son-in-law asked me if I was okay or needed anything. I decided to be open with them and explain how it hurt me that my own son refuses to call me mom, but will happily do so to someone else. I feel like he even made a point to do so right in front of me. Meanwhile, my husband just decided to step outside because it's too overwhelming for him when I cry. My son just asked me to calm down and even felt it necessary to tell me I could either collect myself or otherwise we were free to leave. He seems to think I was so emotional as a ploy to manipulate him rather than an honest display of how I feel. I just don't know what happened to my once sweet little boy. Am I the idiot for crying when I learned my son calls his in-laws mom and dad when he calls us, his parents, by our names? You are the idiot. Here's the thing. There's a reason he calls you by your first name. And to keep it up for 20 years, not just in a moment of teenage attitude, means it's a big, important reason that would have been impossible for a healthy person to miss. You need to stop having an emotional outburst, which everyone, even your husband, is clearly tired of, and honestly evaluate yourself. Get a professional therapist to help you dig through it all and to help you work on emotional regulation and self-awareness. In the meantime, work to minimize the impact of your outburst on other people. Don't wait for your husband to leave the room. Leave before you start leaking. Take a walk, journal, quietly reflect, and return when you're ready to interact with people in a healthy, non-coercive way. Reminds me of my narcissistic mother-in-law. She would play the victim card and woe is me whenever things didn't go her way. Your husband leaves to avoid dealing with whatever drama you just instigated, and your son is so over it and lets you know to fix yourself or leave. His partner was probably taken aback by your outburst and over-the-top reaction. Your son didn't wake up one day and decide to call you and your husband by your first names. So what happened? Lady, what's the missing reason that you're not telling us? Usually kids don't do this out of spite for 2 decades. There is a very valid reason that you don't seem comfortable telling. Also, given your son's reaction, he seems to have emotionally distanced himself from both of you, probably for the same reason why he started calling you by your names. Usually for a kid to abandon their blood relatives and choose strangers as their new family, a lot of bad crap has to happen. If we asked one of our children a question or to do something, my husband wanted them to say yes, no, sir or madam. My husband insisted on that with our children to help them learn manners. When we would ask our son not to call us by our first names, he would revert to that, knowing full well we couldn't claim to be upset with him over it. He was a teenager then, and he never gave me a true answer as to why he stopped calling us mom and dad. My husband feels he was just struggling with the expectations of him as a young man. I always stood up for my children so they didn't have to grow up too fast. I was the one who stood up for my son when he decided to decline the USNA, and while my husband was disappointed at the time, he's now very proud of everything our son has accomplished while enlisted. My husband wanted all of his children to attend the USNA, as he did, and as his father had, but our youngest son broke the mold in more ways than one. He wasn't an officer, and he didn't even enlist in the Navy, but my husband came around to understand our son's choices, since his career aspirations were only available to him the route he took. We're both now very proud of our little Marine, even if I've nearly died of several heart attacks over the years from him. You are the idiot, OP. Here's the very first of your missing reasons. You were never mom and dad to begin with, so I don't know where you get off crying about it now. You already know why he calls you that, so why are you holding it against him now? You raised him like he was in boot camp and are now upset he keeps you at arm's length. What did you expect to happen? He was your child, not some cadet. I don't blame him for keeping things formal. You and your husband set the tone for this relationship. I can't fathom what kind of idiot makes their kids call them sir and ma'am. You asked for this, so this is what you get. My boyfriend, 31, has a tween son. He has a son every week and every other weekend. Lately, I, female 28, been wanting to ski. We live in New Jersey, and our friends have a house in the Poconos. Initially, we would go on the weekends of the 17th, when my boyfriend didn't have his son. Now we have the option to use the house on the weekend we have him, if we choose, on the 24th. I'll be blunt. His son constantly whines and doesn't appreciate anything, although his father spoils him. He's extremely immature for his age, and I feel bad for getting bothered by it at times because he does have ADHD. I wanted to include him, so I asked my significant other if he thought he would like skiing. My significant other told me he spoke with his son, and he seemed uninterested in the trip, and even a tad scared. He would rather play video games. So I told him, we should just go the weekend he doesn't have them, since he wouldn't even like it, and the weekend away is solely about skiing. My significant other is now trying to make me feel bad, saying it's wrong if we go away without him, and is this how it's going to be when we move in together? Keep in mind we took him to Hershey and Kalahari and planned trips for him, which he didn't even seem to care about. Am I the idiot? The only trip that your boyfriend wants to go on is a guilt trip. He doesn't want to go skiing. You are not the idiot. You did nothing wrong, and it sounds like you were thoughtful in trying to open your boyfriend's son to new experiences. Son sounds understandably nervous, and a better father would take him to the snow and get him used to playing with it. Save skiing for another time. Son will spend half his life on his Switch if dad actively dissuades him from participating in life. Do they both have anxiety? OP, take it from someone slightly older. This is just a preview of what your relationship will be like in the coming years. Maybe it's helpful to set up some protocol with your boyfriend to make sure you're both on the same page regarding interacting with his son. Clarifying these aspects in general may save you lots of energy. But you realize they're a package deal, right? Do you hope to spend the rest of your life with someone whose kids you hate? You already think he spoils his kid. It is how it's going to be if you move in together. You'll be a stepmom to a kid you don't like, with a father you don't like. So why are you? Is this relationship sustainable? Reading this story, it is crystal clear that you should not be dating someone with a child at this point in your life. I, 30 male, have a house in Florida, and around evening time, after a long day of work, etc., I love taking a swim in my pool in my backyard. I just find it soothing, relaxing, and it helps me sleep better. It's something I look forward to every day. A week or so ago, while I was walking my dog, a lady came up to me and said, "Oh, hi, I'm Janice. I'm your new neighbor. So good to see you. I just wanted to introduce myself. I live right next door to you with my daughter, and we just moved in, etc." Then she shook my hand and walked off. All good. The house owner's name is Gary, and he's a great guy. He's in his 50s, and I've known him for ages. He usually rents out that house, and so these are his new tenants. He used to live in the house, but he's been renting it out for the past few years. So every day around 6 to 7 p.m., I go for a swim in my pool. I take my shirt off, just wearing my swimming trunks, and go right into the pool and start swimming. Every day, I see a lady sitting on her balcony, just watching me swim. I don't care. I just mind my business swimming, or I might sit on the chair in the pool, just relaxing. Again, minding my own business. Yesterday, while I was swimming at 7 p.m., I heard a loud banging noise on my door. I get up from my pool, dry myself off, put some clothes on, and go to the front door and say, "Hey, Janice, how's it going?" She said, "What's going on is you're trying to lure my innocent daughter into your trap, and I know how this goes." I then told her, "Janice, I'm not luring anybody, and I'm minding my business." She then said, "I don't care about all that, but listen, put some clothes on and stop swimming in your pool. We have children over here." I then just say, "It's my pool, and it's my property, Janice. I'm not doing anything." And I just go inside and close the door. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and tell Gary he has a wackadoo tenant who's harassing you. Also, get some cameras and have them pointed at the pool in your front door. If your neighbor does this again, report them to the police for harassment, and give the footage of them at your door and footage of you just swimming and minding your own business. I'd be prepared for more of this if I were you. Janices don't tend to go back into the woodwork once they've crawled out of it. Her coming over with her paranoid little spiel equals the music getting really spooky at the beginning of a horror movie. I sense that crap is just getting started. Yeah, something's not right with her. It's probably going to escalate. There's only one solution. Can you get a Borat mankini? LOL. Maybe she should tell her daughter to stop ogling you while you're swimming.